Greetings! We're from Weld, Vikings. I'm Katla.
And I'm Tyra, and today we're going to be doing some natural dyeing with fresh Weld.
We hope you enjoy it.
Let's go over some of the items we will be using today. We have iron powder and tums for the dyeing process, and alum and cream of tartar will be used for the mordanting prior to the dyeing. We also have the fresh Weld and wool. Prior to dyeing, it's always a good idea to mordant your fiber. We did, like I mentioned before, use alum and cream of tartar. And when you do that, it's a good idea to use 15% of weight of goods for alum and 5% of weight of goods for cream of tartar. Meaning if you have 100 grams of fiber, you're going to use 15 grams of alum and 5 grams of cream of tartar. Put that in a pot with your fiber and heat up to 180 degrees over 45 minutes. Hold that for another 45 minutes and you're good to go. As you can see, Tyra and I are trying to take the care to remove the seeds to be able to use them for another harvest of Weld in the future. We're cutting up the Weld to make it easier to deal with, and prior to starting the dyeing, we weighed the Weld to be able to compare the amount of fiber to Weld to know how much in the future got us the color we did. Next, Tyra is adding some tums along with soda ash. This is going to create an environment that is going to make a brighter yellow for our dye and our fiber. We are also making a point to keep the temperature under 140 degrees. After about an hour, we realized that a considerable amount of pigment was extracted from the Weld. So we decided to strain out the plants and get ready for the actual dyeing process. If you miss a couple pieces, don't worry about it. It's pretty easy to get the plant matter out of the fiber after you've dyed it, but we are just trying to make it as easy for us as possible in the future. Now we're putting the fiber into the liquid. We won't be adding any more heat to the dye process at this point, and in truth, we let it cool for a little bit before we added the wool as to not shock it. We also decided to add some silk that was unmordanted to see what we could get from it. Again, dyeing is like alchemy and you never know what you're going to get. You can see after only about 15 minutes we're already getting a beautiful pigment. Here Tyra is pulling out the skeins after about an hour of it soaking in the Weld bath. You can tell it's going to have a really beautiful color. And she's taking the time to let the liquid come out of the skeins because we will try and do secondary baths of fiber to see if we can get more color out of it. Try and make sure not to drop it. But if you do by accident, it's okay. Right, Tyra? What a beautiful color we got from the Weld. This next part, we decided to play a little bit with color shifting. We made a mixture of water and iron powder to see if we could sadden the color or add some green hue to it. For this portion, we didn't look at an exact time frame. We just kind of saw how the color was shifting and chose when to remove it based on if we liked it or not. It's also really important to make sure to rinse out the iron from your fiber because it'll make it really rough and degrade it if you leave it in there. Now let's try the silk. Let that sit for a little while and see what that does. Rinse that again. And now we added a little bit more iron because we felt we wanted to see if we used a stronger version if we'd get a different color change. You can see in the bowl that we're working from the differences of color from the silk and the wool, and the silk that was not yet dipped in the iron bath. We decided to take the pH of both the Weld bath and the iron bath to see just the difference of the two. The pH isn't necessarily a huge factor in the shifting of the color, but it's fascinating to see the difference between the two. On the left we have the Weld bath and the right the iron bath. And here you can see the end results. With the first round, the second, and even the third round of dipping fiber into the bath. We hope you enjoyed this video and look forward to seeing you in the future.